My name is Liz Scott, and I have a awesome opportunity to be able to conduct interviews and learn more about firms inside of the accounting profession and learn more about specifically in this case, Whitney, you and your role at Papin. So I'd love to hear more about you and Papin CPA firm.
Yes. I'm Whitney Kisner. I am the Director of Operations at Papin CPA. We are located in Oklahoma, but we also are physically located in multiple states. We have a team of a little less than 10, and we specialize in small businesses and small business owners. It's really what our passion or our niche is. Really trying to get clients who are starting out, but also want to build to something bigger.
I love that. And you are seen as the integrator at Papin CPA firm. And so as the person who keeps all these moving parts connected and continually moving forward, how would you describe your leadership style?
So my leadership style is really team-based. I want to focus on our client experience, but also the experience of our team internally. I think it's really important for morale, for one, and also to just have a really good understanding of what's working and what's not working. I don't have my hand really deep into like a tax return prep, but I do understand the process of it. And it's really important for us to all understand how we all work on a client together and know how that flow works. Um, and so I typically like to bring people together and figure out what's working, what's not working, put some plans together of what I think would maybe solve that problem, and then bring the team back in to present those options and again get people's feedback, both internally and what we think our clients are going to like, and make decisions that way.
I hear you talking about the team and referring to them quite a bit. And I think that this talks to, a lot about culture that you're creating there and part of. And I want to just talk about how do you create and shape a culture of collaboration whenever you're continually improving the processes?
We have a lot of team meetings, but I think what our focus is throughout, a cycle of anything, a year or whatever we're going through, is about bringing everyone together and having all of the team understand the services that we provide and what we do within those services, each individual person. It's really important for us, for me, to have everyone on our team understand exactly the client flow and how we all work together to have a service be completed, like a tax return, for example. We all have our hands on it in a different way, and it's important for me for everyone to understand that you're not just doing a certain task, you're part of the service that we're providing, and we're in the business of customer service. And so that's kind of how I bring everyone together so that they understand that no one's on an island. We're all working towards the goal, the end goal together.
I think that you're highlighting some really important pieces. So, understanding the people that work within the firm helps to be able to drive that change. And, in the concept of change, one of the things that, I want to ask you about is Canopy. And so you spent a year researching practice management solutions. I've heard you talk about it. So, what were the pain points that you were determined to solve?
Oh, top top pain point is the the tools that we were using were all separate. So we had to go to multiple different tools or software to get um, a process done, like a tax return, since we're using that example. And it felt very disjointed. And there was a lot of frustration of, I've got to remember to get into this and get into that, and things move from one to the other. So that was at the top. That was the priority, is how can I centralize as much as possible into one platform? The other is efficiency. is just the blanket statement I'll say with efficiency. I am in operations, better known as administration, but that is the work that we do. It's not necessarily billable, but we don't have to drain a company on admin time because of software. So how can we maximize the tools that we have to reduce that overture of administration costs and then elevate our individuals on the operation side to help the firm perform better.
I think that what you're talking about is, something that many firms struggle with, and it's being able to say, we do have so many separate solutions that it does make it very time consuming and costly for performing services for clients. So, in this change to Canopy, can you talk about the measurable results, like hours saved, efficiency gained, any types of improvements since you've made that change?
Yes. So originally, when we adopted Canopy, one of my biggest struggles was billing. I had to go through this whole process every single month for our monthly bills that we collected from our clients, putting together an ACH, putting it into our bank account, running that, applying payments. I think it equated to maybe like 6 hours a month, which doesn't sound like a lot when you say it just then, but when you really think about it, it's a lot of unnecessary time. And so that was my biggest pain point, and that's really what I was looking for with a new platform. And when I found that in Canopy, I have spent, I spent the time to set up reoccurring bills, and I haven't really touched it since, which has been amazing. Like I don't have to chase, everything's auto applied, so I'm virtually saving all of that time every single month. And a recent feedback that we received from our clients is with the automation that's built into some of our workflows. We were able to send out emails at different points in the tax return process that would just tell our clients where they are. For example, like you've given us enough information that you're now going to prep. And then once prep is done, another email went out that said your return is going to review. And then after review is done, it was like expect your return in 72 hours. And so it really reduced the amount of emails and phone calls we received in a very busy time. And it kept our clients really informed. And I got a lot of great feedback about that.
I think that, everybody is focused on client experience, and a positive client experience is going to lead to more referrals and the longevity of that client, and even the trust piece. So I feel like, in this example, you're talking about how technology can support that client experience.
Mhm.
I want to also ask, what has your team said about this technology change? Have they given you feedback?
Yes. So, what we were able to do was, again, with some of the automation, is take the burden off of our tax team and our accounting team, really our whole team, with status changes and just where certain projects are. We really took that burden off of them and really put it on the system, which is what it's there for. So they were less concerned about making sure that all of that was right and more focused on the work that was being done, which is super valuable. I think also just getting into a system that functionally just works better. It's just there's less frustration. There's less frustration on our team side because they see the flow, they see how things move. Um, I have an automation set up that if our accountants see something in the books and they need us to have a conversation about it, all they have to do is change a status. It triggers a different task that alerts me, and I reach out to the client, and it's like immediate. And so the process and the flow is just flowing better. It's very seamless almost.
I think that, going back to whenever you were talking about finding a solution because you were in so many separate solutions and you wanted to narrow that down into one, you talking about having automations that then alert the team
Mhm.
and then allows you to, have some awareness of what's going on in the client experience and what's going on with the team experience. is definitely creating a better culture overall. So it takes a lot of that burden off your shoulders and the team and the clients. One of the other things that I've heard you say is that you're often the first point of contact for new clients.
Mhm.
So how does Canopy factor into that onboarding process?
So I utilize questionnaires inside of Canopy, and as soon as I get a potential new client contact us, I directly put them into Canopy. They get an invite to the client portal via the questionnaire, and so the questionnaire will go out, just collecting some initial data. I'm not asking for a ton, but it really drives or I guess sets the stage of expectations for our new clients that this is the tool that we're using. We're not, emailing things back and forth to each other. I want to drive everything here. They're immediately in the system and they fill out the questionnaire. They're getting familiar. I go through my workflow. I send out engagement. Well, I'll send out a client request for documents if I need them. As we move further through the process, I send out the engagement letter via Canopy. So still all within the same system. They sign it, they're right in there. I push them over to an active client, everything's done. It's very easy and again, really kind of sets the tone of expectations on both of our sides.
I've had the opportunity to hear a little bit about the way that you've set up your Canopy environment, and that part of your logic is keep it simple, but utilize the automation, the tools that are available to you, but you don't have to make it super complex.
Hmm.
And, that does several things. It teaches your team, this is the tool that we're using, and this is how we use it. And it helps with the understanding and comprehension of grasping a new tool whenever you
Hmm.
keep it simple. And then on the client side, like you said, from the very beginning, you're saying, here's the way that we interact is through this portal. Here's where we're going to send you messages. Here's where we're going to request documents. And from a security standpoint, that's really top of mind right now, as a lot of firms are starting to see bogus emails that are coming through. So kudos to you for setting that example for both the client and the team.
Thanks. Thanks.
So one of the questions that I've got is you've done such a great job of implementing Canopy and having the change management within the team, pulling in their insights. But what advice would you give other firm leaders who want to modernize their operations, but they feel overwhelmed by the choices of change management required?
I have this conversation a lot, and I will stand on this hill, but I think the task is just so daunting. And especially in accounting firms, it never feels like it's a good time because you're always like in between a tax season or tax deadlines or what have you. There's never a great time. It's not it's there's never like a magical month that everything's going to work out. I think what's important to tell firms that are looking for this change is that there's it, especially if you've been using a tool for a decade, then there's so many other options out there that are going to support your firm in this way that you've always wanted but never really had before. So it feels very foreign, but you have to focus on what are your pain points. Like, what do you want in your firm? Do you want to be more efficient? Do you want to have everything in one place? Do you want to work less on bills and bill more time? What is it that you want and finding the tool that's going to fit your firm the best. I think that listening to other people and what they use is important, but I also think that really going into exploring different products and keeping internally what really you're looking for and going with that direction. And that's why it took me a year because I was really wanting to figure out what was best going to fit my firm and the way that we work. And so really kind of evaluating what that is.
And I love that. And to summarize, you have to understand what your needs are and what you're wanting a tool to do before you can find an appropriate tool that would fit those needs. So
Hmm.
spending time to understand your clients, understand your team, and the growth direction of the firm, that all matters whenever you're picking a tool.
Hmm.
So if you had to sum up the impact of Canopy on Papin CPA firm in one sentence, what would that be?
Maximizing efficiency.
That's a great
That's
summarization. I think that
two
that's the
words.
place that we all want to be.
Yeah.
And, accounting is a hard profession. That's why so many businesses outsource that to accounting firms like Papin CPA firm. And so, whether it's a potential client that's listening that's, looking for a firm to help with their business, or if it's another accounting firm who's thinking about changing directions and exploring what's available, I think that you are doing the things correctly. You're really taking the time to invest in the people. And anytime that you invest in the people, the outcome is going to be heartfelt and you're going to get more results. So what's next for you and Papin CPA firm? And are there any new technologies or shifts that you're wanting to explore?
Oh, what's next? Survive the tax season for 2025. We're honing in on what we got about a month left. And then I think after that, which we do probably every year, is just evaluating how the year has gone, evaluating the tools that we're using, and also getting a pulse on our clients and what they're looking for, and trying to plan on how we can help them be more successful with what they're doing.
Well, I love the insights that you've shared, and there's going to be, people on all various different sides that are listening to this, trying to think about how they can evaluate the solutions that they're choosing, and even the solution providers like yourself for small businesses that are seeking help. So I appreciate your time today. I'm very grateful,
Thank
and
you.
I look forward to more insights.
Thank you. I appreciate your time as well. And thank you for inviting me on here.
Bye, everyone. See you next time.